Welcome to Flow. Let's get started. Today we'll start off lying down. Bring your feet a bit wider. Bring one hand to your belly, one hand to your heart, and allow your knees to knock together. Start to pull in some nice big breaths here. Fill the space where your hands are touching. And every exhale, allow yourself to sink a little deeper, a little heavier into the mat. We're going to be doing a lot of posterior work today, a lot of strengthening through the glutes and the hips. Take these first few moments just to bring focus to your breath. Feel loose and soft through your pelvis, through your belly, through your glutes. And now release your hands off to the side. Bring your feet so they're hips width distance apart and push your hips up into a bridge pose. Take it nice and slow all the way up. Hold for a moment at the top and then slowly lower down. And we're gonna take a few more just like this, nice and slow. Getting active nice and gradually. Notice when you push up into your bridge pose, if your weight goes into the pinky toe edges of your foot. Try to bring a little more awareness into the big toe edges of your foot and feel this gradual lifting and lowering. Going up the spine and then lowering down the spine. And just be very aware what's happening to the knees. If they're pulling away from each other, try to make sure they're truly tracking over your second toe. Every time you hit the top of your bridge, try to take just a moment at the top. Find a little bit of extra moment of activation into your glutes. Take about 3 more of these bridge poses, just going up and down, starting to get active into the back body. Our next variation is going to be a bridge, but it's going to be a little different through your feet. So I want you to step your right foot so it's slightly in front of your left foot, and then flex your right foot so your right heel is digging into the ground. And as you're doing that, think that you could pull your right heel back towards your hips and then lift your hips up, hold for a moment, really pull that right heel back, and then lower the hips down with that same sensation of pulling the right heel back. So this is gonna dive a little bit deeper into your right hamstring, that kind of activation, but also still feeling a nice support into your left glute. So you're just pushing your hips up into that bridge pose and then lowering down. Continue to pull your right heel back. It should feel very active through the right heel. I like to bring my hands to my glutes and just notice what's working. Notice that activation as you push your hips up. Pull your right heel back. Take 3 more of these, just very intentional movement as you push up and down, continuously pulling the right heel back. And then after your last one, just switch it up. So your right foot comes in, your left foot will go forward, flex your left foot, pull your left heel back, and then start these bridges on the opposite side. So we want that same amount of intention, like you're pulling your left heel towards your left glute, getting nice and active into your left hamstring. You can bring one hand to either of your glutes just to see how they're both working. They're both working here. Left side is a little more hamstring heavy. Right side, we're still working on that glute. So it should actually feel like a lot here. Really continuously pull the left heel back. And we'll take about 3 more of these. Notice if your right knee is kind of going out to the right side. Try to keep your right knee so it's tracking truly over your second right toe. Pull your left heel back. Stick with it. Take 1 more. And then lower your hips down and bring your feet back to normal. Pull your knees into your chest and extend your legs up to the ceiling, and then open your legs as wide as you can. This doesn't have to be super wide here. We're gonna start to find some circles, just little half circles going through your legs and just finding a bit more range of motion into your hip. So take this when we're coming into that straddle position, just take it as wide as you can. And if you're unable to get your legs completely straight, just bend through your knees and kind of find this helicopter movement through your legs. And just let this be kind of floppy. Doesn't have to be super rigid. Should be more about how it feels versus how it looks. Take your time if you want to move a little bit slower, or you can move a little bit faster, let momentum play, just a little bit of a roll here. Take one more and then pull your knees into your chest. I'm gonna come all the way down onto your side here. Lower onto the left side of your body. You can support your head with your hand, or you can lie down onto your bicep. Bend your knees so they pull up towards your chest, and then extend your right leg out long in front of you. Start to lower your right foot down to the ground, and then lift it back up to hip height. So we're not lifting super high here. We're gonna take about 10 of these. This entire time, really shoot energy out of your right foot and feel that activation through your outer right glute as you lift up. Notice if your right hip is kind of rolling back behind you, keep your hips stacked, one on top of the other. We really want to activate and get into that outer right glute here. Core is also working. Allow the core to activate. And then after your 10th one, hold and just take little pulses. We'll take about 10 little pulses all the time, pushing energetically out of your right heel. If you're unable to keep your right leg straight, you can have a little bit of a bend, but try to get it as straight as you can. And then after your pulses, hold for about 10 seconds. This is the killer. Lengthen and then bend into your knee. And we'll go ahead and swap this to the opposite side. Lie on your right side. You can support your head with your hand, or you can extend your arm long, whatever feels most comfortable. Bend your knees up to your chest and then extend your left leg. Lower your foot and lift it up. We'll take about 10 of these. Nice intentional movement. Again, notice if your left hip is kind of slipping back behind you. I sometimes like to bring my hand to my hip or my hand to my glute just to make sure that my hips are truly stacked one on top of the other. Try to get as long as you can behind your left knee and continue to shoot energy out of your left foot. After your last one, after you've done about 10 of these, hold your left leg up and start to take little pulses. Notice if your hip is rolling back, try to keep your hips stacked. Engage through your core. Your core is very helpful here. We take about 10 of these tiny little pulses. And then after your 10th one, just hold it about 10 seconds. Isometric hold, strength and stillness. And then bend your knee and bring yourself up to downward facing dog. Take a few moments in your downward facing dog, pedal through your feet, buzz through your lips. Just a little moment of stretch for yourself. And then start to walk your feet up towards your fingers so you're coming into a forward fold. Soften through your knees, drop through your head, and slowly start to roll yourself up to stand. Stack through your vertebrae. Think of how your glutes can engage as you stand all the way up. Once you arrive at the top, take a few moments to roll out through your shoulders, move around through your head and your neck. Bring your feet so they're about hips width distance apart, and send your hips back into a deep squat. And then stand up. We're gonna take about 5 of these. So as you power yourself up to stand, think of pushing down into your feet and think of driving through your hips. We're gonna start to progress this movement into one leg at a time. So next set, shift your hips down and then shift your weight to your right foot, pull your left knee up. And then back into your two-legged squat and pull your right knee up. So we're alternating from side to side. We're challenging the glutes, we're challenging the balance. So every time you find that supporting leg, push down into your supporting foot, use your core to pull your knee towards your chest and activate. And now from here, we're gonna progress even further. We're gonna step the foot back into a lunge and then back down to squat. So the knee pulls up, the foot steps back to lunge, the knee pulls up, and come back to squat. We take about 8 of these total. The knee pulls up, the knee steps back, the knee pulls up, and back down to squat. So this gradual progression that we've taken, now we're adding in some balance elements, a lot of core stabilization happening, but also a lot of glute strengthening in balance work. All of that balance work takes a lot of glute and pelvic stability. Keep moving through this. If you need to go a little bit slower, find a bit of a slower pace. If you're struggling with the balance, then find something that you can hold on to. Maybe that's a wall, maybe that's a countertop. Just give yourself a little sense of stability here. After your last one, hold the squat. Hold for about 10 seconds. You're nice and long through your spine. Your hips pull back. Allow this to be challenging. And then push yourself all the way upright to stand. Take a few moments to jog out through your feet, jog out through your hands. Just let yourself be loose. Forward fold, bend your knees, come all the way down to your back. Figure 4 stretch, cross your right ankle over your left knee. You could stay here, or you could lift your left leg up. Bring your hand around your right shin, or maybe thread your hands underneath your left thigh. And breathe into this space, this opening into the right glute. Take a nice big breath in, a full big breath out. And if you want to find a bit of movement, you can always find that. Go ahead and swap sides, opposite ankles on top. And again, it can feel really nice just to find some simple side-to-side movement. It may feel a little different stretch. Take a full big breath in and a full big breath out. And then slowly release and come into happy baby. So catch the inside or the outsides of your feet or your ankles. Pull your knees to your armpits. You can stay still, or you can find a little bit of movement here if you want to extend through your legs or shift your hips from side to side. Breathe into your belly. And then release your legs. 2 options here. You can extend your legs long and heavy in front of you, or you can bring the bottoms of your feet together and let your knees open. Bring your hands to rest on your belly and your heart the same way that we began our series. And take this moment to come back to your breath. Notice any shifts you may feel, maybe physically, maybe mentally, or maybe just with your breath. And take a moment of gratitude. Know that you carved out this time for yourself today, for your health, for your physical health. And give yourself a few moments of silence with your breath. Thank you for joining us. And that's your flow.